Yes, this is Mr. Controversy, and this is the infamous three-point conversion station. Keep it locked.
In this episode of BrownsTownUSA, powered by the three-point conversion, we will discuss building the Browns, joint practices with the Indianapolis Colts, injuries, some rumored trades, and also the preview of the game on Saturday. We will also discuss if Baker came out and said that he feels that there's a target on Cleveland's back, and if you agree. Once again, thank you for listening, and make sure you subscribe to us on all your podcast networks. And remember, this is BrownsTownUSA, and we are powered by the three-point conversion. And without further ado, here's the show.
Got it back because I'm brown. So what's up? Coming at you live and direct. Yo, dude, represent. Mr. Roll to Southtown. With that new sound. As we get down.
From coast to coast, representing all the dog pound, this is the Brownstown USA podcast, powered by the three-point conversion. The three-point conversion, where fans' opinions matter. I'm Eric. Over there is L.A. L.A., you look like you're deep in thought.
Absolutely, man. Just going over some of these notes from this Colts joint practice, which we are sure to get into a little bit later on when we preview the game. But great information here, great tidbits, but we got a lot to talk about. Let's just kick it off. Let's just dive right into it. Building the Browns. Now, we've talked about building the Browns quite a few times on the show, especially last year. We both agreed, and actually most people out there agree, that building the Browns is actually a lot better than Hard Knocks was to us. And based off of the point is that building the Browns knows the stories and the feel of Browns. I mean, because they are Browns people. Hard Knocks was kind of, visitors coming in and trying to just videotape whatever they could and, piece together a story. But building the Browns actually knows the heartbeat of the story, and they do a very, very good job. And if you hadn't had a chance to catch it, fans out there, make sure you catch it. It's on YouTube. They debuted it every Sunday morning. This one actually happened to be the longest in the Building Browns history, 45 minutes. But, oh, my goodness, if I still didn't come out of that fired up still. So, Eric, building the Browns, I know you said that you got a chance to catch a little bit of it here and there, got interrupted, but kind of wanted to go back and see if you were able to catch a little bit more, or from the parts that you did catch, what stood out to you? I mean, what do you love about it?
Well, probably the one thing that I do love about it is just the fact that, the team is actually starting to look like a team right now. I mean, we've seen in past episodes just the build-up to it. Like, you don't really see them as a team until they really come together and, in a real practice, not like OTAs or not mandatory training camps, not the draft, not rookie mini camps. Those, while they are technically a team, you don't feel like a team. It's like, probably the best way to put it. It's like if you play high school baseball or a high school sport, when you have, let's say, probably 50 people try out for the team, and then they keep doing it until they start making cuts or start designating who's going to be junior varsity, who's going to be varsity, all that type of stuff. Once you get that final roster and once you step on that practice field, that's when it feels real. And seeing everybody just come together, step up like that, that's the big thing that really stood out to me. And the thing is, I've never seen the Browns this connected before.
Absolutely. I have to agree with you. A couple things that jumped out to me as well is that, we have some amazingly funny offensive linemen. They did a bit with the offensive linemen playing shuffleboard, and they're just absolutely hilarious. And again, like you said, man, it goes back to the team camaraderie. It's like everybody's enjoying each other, having a good time. It opens up with Sione Takitaki going into the room, being excited that Mac Wilson is his roommate. And, Mac talking back and forth saying, yeah, man, I'm sleeping in the living room because I'm not about to sleep in a room while this man is married talking to his wife and stuff, I mean, he might want to say some stuff, and I don't want to be uncomfortable. So, just little things like that. But then also them descripting and telling you how much they put into this craft. It's not that you just get up and get out there on the field and just run around and stuff and catch balls, but these guys are up until 1, 2 in the morning studying their playbooks and then having to turn right back around and get up at 7 o'clock to go out there for training and weightlifting and all kinds of conditioning and everything like that. Like this thing is a grind. It's not the shimmer and shiny, millions of dollars that we sit up there and judge them on when they get paid finally in the public, or, seeing them catch these touchdown passes. And then, you're just like, oh man, that's just natural. No, a lot of it is really, really hard work, Eric. And so that's what really stuck out to me. I was just like, man, besides them eating right and exercising and studying, I mean, they do all this stuff, man. And then they're out there on the field too. At the same time, giving everything that they can that these coaches demand from them. I mean, you really have to tip your hats off to these young guys.
Absolutely. And, it seems like more and more we're starting to see, like, more of these rookies that are coming into camp actually more mature, like, more grown, like, and maybe it's just me on this one, but seeing Taki come out, he's got like this relationship with Mac Wilson, as you were just alluding to. But the thing is, we're so used to like people questioning like Baker's maturity at the time, people questioning Johnny Manziel and Manziel's maturity. If you even want to go back, the maturity of, say, Ezekiel Elliott right now, or so on and so forth. There's way too many examples to name. Antonio Brown, for that matter. But the fact of the matter is, it seems like John Dorsey is really looking at these players to see who's more mature, who's ready for this responsibility, because someone's said this before, and it's absolutely true. There are millions upon millions of people that try out for the NFL. There are millions of those people that end up getting cut or not making it at all. If you actually get to camp at this point, and then if you actually have a chance to make the team, you're doing something right. And part of that has to come in not just the preparation on the field, but the preparation mentally and the preparation of life almost.
Absolutely. And it goes just like you said to John Dorsey, to credit, because he did say something on building the Browns as well, that he's not only looking at how players are on the field, but he's looking at them how they are off the field, how they are in the locker room, how they interact with other players and the training staff and just everybody from the top down. So to see these guys actually meshing and molding and having similar personalities, or having different personalities but being able to get along, attest to what John Dorsey is looking at and just how detailed this man is, from A to Z. I mean, he just looks at it all. And it's refreshing, Eric, to know that we actually have a real GM, a real football guy running the show. And I can't say that enough. And you can tell just with the fact of how much a year has made and how much we have grown and gone into just a whole nother atmosphere. I mean, 0-16 and all that other bad stuff that happened, the Josh Gordon Chronicles and all that, it seems like it's been a decade ago, right? And it's really, truthfully, we're only a year removed from that. And that's what goes to show you just like how we didn't have anybody in the front office doing the right thing. And like they said, it starts from the top and goes to the bottom. So, hats off again to John Dorsey and the team. I know John Dorsey's name always gets stamped on it, but, Alonzo Highsmith, Elliot Wolf, all those people that make it happen, definitely hats off to them. And extremely, extremely excited. So like I said again, guys, make sure you catch Building the Browns. They release it every Sunday on YouTube. It's hot. You don't want to miss it. And I guess we'll start making sure we post it to our Facebook page as well, so you can get right to it as well. So we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to talk about the joint practices that we are having currently with the Indianapolis Colts. The first practice happened yesterday. The second one is actually kicking off at 4 o'clock today. So we'll get into that, man, and see what we've seen from there, and let you know what kind of rumors and different things we've been hearing out of that camp. So this is Brownstown USA. We will be right back.
Hi, this is Aditi Kinkabwala with the NFL Network, and you are listening to the 3-Point Conversion.
And we are back, Brownstown USA, powered by the 3-Point Conversion. The 3-Point Conversion, where fans' opinions matter. Make sure you hop over to 3pointconversion.com, where you got all your latest articles. Right now, we are releasing previews. Great job from the gentleman, including my man Eric, getting these pieces together and making sure that they preview these conferences for you. Divisions, and letting you know what's going on and who's going to come out, what they're going to look like, and all that other good stuff. So make sure you hop over to 3pointconversion.com. Also follow the 3-Point Conversion at 3PTCNVRSN on all your social media platforms. Follow us at Brownstown USA on all your social media platforms. And again, make sure you subscribe to the show to never miss an episode on all your podcasting networks. I'm talking about TuneIn. I'm talking about Spotify. I'm talking about iHeartRadio. I'm talking about Google Play. I'm talking about everywhere. We're everywhere. So there's no excuse. Make sure you listen. And then click that 5-star if you like the show, or leave us a review to let us know. We are open. And, we take criticism well. Well, some of us do. But, yeah, we should be okay. Anywho, Eric, joint practices, Indianapolis Colts. I know I probably asked you this before, but I do want to ask you this again. Are you in favor of joint practices?
Joint practices, to me, I do like the idea a little bit, as long as it's someone that you're not going to be playing in the season, for lack of a better word. Like, no offense to the Colts on this one, but if we were playing them this year, please stay the hell away, just because it basically can open itself up to to more spying, like that kind of stuff. Maybe it's just me on this one, but I also have to be honest with you. I'm also a little bit more in favor now of shortening the preseason with that, just in general. But that's a topic for another day. I have no problem if the two teams don't play each other, just because preseason games, they don't mean as much because everybody's trying to make a team at that point. If we played them in the regular season, forget it. Put me with another team. Let's see Browns and, I don't know, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or Browns and the Jaguars, since we don't play them. That's just my personal thought.
Yeah. I understand that opinion. I really do. I like joint practices, and I don't. It goes back and forth. One, like you said, you have the risk of injuries, of course, but that's on any time you suit up. You mentioned spying, but also, too, look at it from this way. We can spy as well. But I think, like you said, and you mentioned with the cuts, this is an opportunity for us and John Dorsey, not us personally, but, us as Browns, John Dorsey, Freddie Kitchens. Some of these players are going to be cut from the Colts. Now, if you look at it from that way, the Colts may be stacked at a certain position. We may be stacked at a certain position, and we might be able to help each other out. You see what I'm saying? So I think it gives them a better up-close look at some of these players instead of maybe just hearing rumors or, anything like that when they get cut, because it's hard to really evaluate. Like you said, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of people that get cut, a lot of things going on. So you have preseason tape, of course, from preseason games, but sometimes some of these players don't get in the game. So it's actually good to have some joint practices so you can see and circle a guy's name, just in case he hits that waiver wire. So I think that's a big up and advantage for us. Now, while we were going through these joint practices, a couple of injuries to note. Devereaux Lawrence has an undisclosed injury. We just found out this morning. We do not know what the injury is, but we will update as soon as possible. Once we know something, they will let us know once the practice has concluded today. And like I said, they're doing later practices, so I believe the practice is from 4 to 6, if I'm not mistaken. Also, too, we found out yesterday that Odell Beckham has a hip injury. It was first reported as a hip pointer, but it's not a hip pointer. But it is a hip injury. So they are, of course, taking it still. But before we go to this other injury as well, I want to ask you this. Taking it slow with Odell, Eric, this is something that we keep hearing over and over and over. We heard it at OTAs. Now we're hearing it again. A couple of questions have came up as far as saying, do we feel like this is like going to hurt the Baker to Odell connection? The reason why Higgins is so good right now, right, is because he had the opportunity to practice with Baker in the second team offense last year. And so they developed the chemistry and kept it going, right? So we know with wide receivers and quarterbacks, timing is important. How concerned are you, Eric, with this Odell hip injury?
I'm not too concerned about it just because we've seen Odell Beckham Jr. make these plays before, and we've seen what happens when he's not in a lineup. The guy is a game changer, pure and simple. There's a little bit of concern there because you need to get him on the same page. But at the end of the day, you have to also realize that there's more receivers than just Odell Beckham Jr. at this point. Like, as you brought up, Rashard Higgins, the guy looked like a beast last week against the Redskins. Jarvis Landry, he didn't play either, but, he's going to be there. I'll even bring up someone like Callaway, who I think honestly he's the bigger piece that's going to be missing there because of the injury and because of the suspension. Him and Baker had really good chemistry for a while, and as such, that one's going to hurt. At this point, I'm not going to sit here and say that Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be the most devastating injury, but I would rather them take it slow and work on stuff at practices rather than in games, if that makes sense. Just because someone does good at a practice, I know doesn't mean that come regular season it'll work out, but you know what? We know the type of player Beckham is. This is a better opportunity for some of these younger kids to really prove their worth, and that's more what I'm concerned with right now.
Got you. Now, coming out, and that's actually, and then to add in with the Callaway, we know he's suspended, but the biggest thing here is that he also has a high ankle sprain, which he tried to play through in the last preseason game, and now sidelined him, which is going to hurt him more because of the suspension, but now he can't get the reps and the practice in while he's still eligible. So that's going to definitely be pretty tough right there on him and getting him back on the field. So we know he has the God-given talent, but, you're also working on a team with a lot of other players that have God-given talent. And in order to get yourself above all of that, you have to put in the work as well. So definitely going to be keeping an eye on that. Now, as far as out of practices and everything that's going on there, I want to know, have you had a chance to basically, see any storylines, hear anything from these practices?
Well, the one thing I've been hearing and seeing, because I've seen a couple videos, I've seen pictures, Nick Chubb looks like the real deal right now. We might as well just start calling him Damian Adams at this point. But Nick Chubb, we knew he was good last year. He got stuck behind Carlos Hyde, which was not a bad move at the time, but truth be told, he's done nothing but carve up the Colts on offense. The other thing that I've also been hearing is that the defensive line has looked the best that's looked in a long time. Now, maybe it's just me on this, but if that's what the word is, that was one of our big problems last year because while we had Garrett racking up sack after sack after sack, the rest of the defensive line was kind of underwhelming, especially against the run.
Yeah, I agree. They said the defensive line definitely looked good. However, it is good to note that Quentin Nelson did sit out of practice yesterday. So hopefully he does get in and get some, and get to practice so we can see what we look like with him there. However, the Colts do have a pretty solid offensive line, even with him missing. So definitely good to see them go up against them and get through to Jacoby Brissett. Now, also something to note, Ward did sit out of practice yesterday. Jarvis Landry did as well. So, again, Eric, going to and reaching into our stable of wide receivers, we were able to see wide receivers like DJ Montgomery get a shot again, Jalen Strong get a shot again, and this is going to make it very interesting when it comes to the final cutdowns because we, as deep as we are with wide receivers and have a lot of wide receivers, there is a little bit of a shakiness towards the top of the depth chart with Callaway being out and Odell, having these little injuries here and there. And then we've seen Jarvis get a little banged up too. So it's kind of interesting because it's like we have a new wide receiver squad being led by Rashard Higgins. And then, some guys that are trying to get in there, the Sheehees, the DJ Montgomerys and the Jalen Strongs, man. So before we take a quick break, how are you feeling about this whole wide receiver room and about the fact that it's not just the top people getting the reps now? It's kind of like everybody's getting thrown in there.
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I love it, to be honest. I know that sounds bad because everybody wants to see Baker throwing to Higgins, to Beckham, to Callaway, to Landry. But the fact of the matter is we're already going to see plenty of that during the season. I'd like to see, and while it would be nice to see it in game situations, end of the day, training camp and preseason, or mainly the preseason, is meant for the young kids. It's meant for the veterans trying to get that second shot right now. And you know what? Because of stuff like that, that's how you see some of these players come out of the woodwork. If it wasn't for something like preseason, how many people would really know who Travis Benjamin is? How many people would know who what's the guy's name? The wide receiver that we released and then went to the Falcons.
Man.
Why
you always do that? My memory is bad.
Yeah, but you know exactly who I mean. I know that's bad to say that, but you know what? The fact is, if you don't, as good as these wide receivers are that we have at the top, it's the bottom half that really worries me. Just because last year, people forget how valuable someone like Callaway was, and that was before he really was getting the opportunities. People forget how valuable someone like Derek Willis was, or probably the one guy that was completely overlooked, Rashard Perriman.
Very true, very true. I agree with you. But look, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll dive a little bit more into these joint practices and then go into today's hot topics, man. We got a few on the table, so I definitely want to get your thoughts on that. But let's pay the bills. So this is Brownstown, USA. We will be right back.
I'm Maurice Jones-Drew of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the NFL Network, and you're listening to the 3-Point Conversion. The 3-Point Conversion. The 3-Point Conversion. The 3-Point Conversion.
And we are back, Brownstown, USA, with your man Adelaide Broadus, and across from me is my man Eric, a.k.a. Stosh Ball, doing his thing on the ones and twos over there, so definitely appreciate you as always, my friend. We're talking Browns, of course, and we're talking Browns joint practices. We just got done talking about some of the injuries and some of the things that we see from that. Now, a couple of other things that were coming out of training camp as well is that it's said in the one-on-ones against the Colts offense, we really didn't do that well. There was also that we were able to get our hands on the ball, but it kind of tipped into the receiver's hands, so I'm not really judging that much. But it was kind of because I actually went across enemy lines, Eric, and don't judge me, but read some Colts beat writers articles about the joint practice, just to kind of figure it out. But from their standpoint, they felt like it was pretty even across the board, against our offense and against their offense. Both of us kind of had our good points and our bad points. As far as kicking, I heard it was a great day for the kickers yesterday as well. Both kickers going 5 for 5, so that's a good sign, and we always want to hear that. But the one interesting thing that I want to bring up before we get into these hot topics is the right guard position again, Eric. We seen who was it? It wasn't Cush. It was Forbes. Forbes started yesterday at the right guard position for some series, and it got everybody pretty much up in a hoopla. Now, from me and you all the way up to the very tip top. I mean, of course, the team hasn't released or said anything. They have remained mum on the topic. But mostly everybody is saying that Eric Cush had the job, and it was his to lose. Kitchen said in his presser that he said he never said he would stop rotating and trying to see. Is this a red flag for you, man? I mean, or you just feeling like he's just, again, crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's?
I think he's trying to cross all the T's and dot all the I's. I mean, look, one of the first mistakes that you can make as a head coach, and this is probably the biggest cardinal sin for a rookie head coach, is to not go through the motions. I mean, look, people were saying that Cush was going to be the guy, as you just brought up. But if you remember all the stuff leading up to the draft, how many people were like, wait, who's this Drew Forbes guy? If you remember, Sports Illustrated had him as their player X, who has been one of the most successful predictors for how great a player could be in the draft. So if that's the case, why not give him a shot? Now, the big story also with that is a lot of people are still up in arms, even calling for Corbett to be labeled a bust right now because he got put as the second-string center. First off, it's the preseason depth chart. That means as much as this bottle cap means right now. No one gives a damn about that. And second, if you didn't pay attention to the episode last week, you would have missed LA coming out and saying that Corbett's looked even more comfortable at the center position rather than guard. So if that's the case, then don't you want to put him where he's most comfortable rather than where he's
Yeah, I agree. And let's be honest here, guys. Like, there's no NFL team that's going to be stacked at every single position from top to bottom. I mean, literally, we have a great starting line. If you remember looking at the stats last year, once Greg Robinson was inserted, we did very, very well. Also remember, too, your quarterback gets rid of the ball in about 2 seconds or less. So it's not going to really matter because he doesn't hold on to the ball like that. So when you have a quarterback that can make quick decisions like that, and we have star receivers and star playmakers all over the field, it's not going to matter that much because he's not going to hold on to the ball. You see what I'm saying? The time that it's going to really matter is going to be when we're trying to get the run game established. And Nick Chubb does not look like he's going to have a problem. Kareem Hunt just returned back to practice yesterday and busted off some 20-yard runs. Didn't look like he's going to have a problem. So, honestly, I will pump the brakes on being nervous about this right now until we actually see it become an issue. And, again, we praise John Dorsey on all these other things, but then at the same time we backtrack and say, oh, my God, I can't believe he isn't bringing in another guard or another – like, dude, either in Dorsey you trust or in Dorsey you don't trust. Like, you can't have it both ways. Now, you can disagree with the move that he makes. I get it. But at the same time, like, you just have to trust it, man. We have plenty of offensive linemen here in this camp, and I'm pretty sure he's going to hang on to enough. And it's going to be okay, guys. It's going to be okay. So let's hop into this hot topic, man. You brought this one up to me yesterday, I believe, and I just started laughing my butt off. But there's a couple of trade rumors going around, and this is mostly made up by the fans, nothing official or anything like that. But we're hearing that possibly Jadeveon Clowney can be available. And then we're also hearing something about a certain linebacker on our team, Mr. Joe Schobert, who has done nothing but play his heart out for the Browns. But we all kind of agree that he has a ceiling. Like, we kind of know who he is, right? And so with the emergence of Mack Wilson becoming a star and all of that, a lot of people are trying to pull the trigger and letting this guy go. or saying that he's expendable now. Eric, I know I put out a mouthful there, but can you just break down and dissect and let me know your opinions and thoughts on both of these players?
First off, let's start off with Schobert just because Clowney might get a little lengthy. Schobert is mainly being said to be a guy that could be a trade chip just because of the arrival of Mack Wilson. It was one preseason game. It means nothing. Do you really think Dwayne Haskins is going to come out and be the permanent quarterback for every single team? No offense. But in building the Browns, we learned that Mack Wilson was learning all the linebacker positions. I hate to say it, Mack's not ready to play yet. He might get a couple series in games in the regular season, but I'm not comfortable putting him or Taki where Schobert is right now. It doesn't matter. I would not trade him, and I definitely wouldn't trade Kirksey as much as that was the other one being labeled. Your thoughts on that one quick?
No, I believe that we are set. Again, a good football team has depth, and you absolutely have the ability to keep these players on this team. Now, we know that Schobert's contract is running out at the end of this season, but we'll definitely deal with that, when the time comes. But the thing is that Mack Wilson, Taki are rookies, okay? They have some good plays. They're showing some potential. And that's what you want to see out of your draft picks. So they're doing everything the right way. But it is not time to automatically throw them on the field and say, start them, especially when there's a lot of communication that's involved at those linebacker positions, communicating plays, all that other good stuff. There's a lot that is thrown at these guys. And we even seen it on Building the Browns, how they were saying with Taki how he allows his emotions a lot of times to get in the way. So therefore he does a lot of crazy things sometimes out there because he's so hyped. And so a lot of the time it's like, just let the game slow down for these guys. And so I understand, like, if you want to look forward and past Schobert and stuff after this year, because you've seen what you've seen out of Mack Wilson, you believe that he's ready to make that jump. Okay. But right now going into the season, definitely very, very, way too early to pull the trigger on this.
Right. And as for the Clowney thing, I don't like the trade at all. And let me just break it down for a lot of people. So for those that don't know, Jadeveon Clowney has not signed his tenure with the Houston Texans yet, meaning he's not even reporting with the team. A lot of Browns fans are bringing up that we should try to trade for him. Here's my issues with that. One, what you need to give up to get him. It would probably cost you, if I had to take a guess, it'd probably cost you a linebacker, which could be Schobert. It could be any of that, but that's beside the point. It'd probably cost you a cornerback and then a high draft pick and a regular draft pick. Sorry, it's not worth it for Clowney. Two, you have to look at the contract situation. We already have a beast in and of itself with Myles Garrett coming off the books in a few years. Believe it or not, Clowney actually does not have that many more sacks than Garrett does. I looked it up last night. It's 28.5 to 20.5. That's not that much. That's like a season's worth of sacks when this guy's played 2 more seasons than him. And third, so I'm not ready to break the bank on him. And third, what do you do with Vernon? I'm not ready to give up Olivier Vernon yet because Vernon, this is his prime position. I'm not going to move him to linebacker. I want him right here, and I think he's got a lot that he can offer in terms of teaching to a Myles Garrett, to a Larry Ogunjobi. So just not worth it in my mind.
Yeah, it's not worth it in my mind either. I think Clowney is at the point in his career where he's taking these, 1-year deals anyway. So I'm not really worried about the whole financial tie-up in the future because he is taking a lot of these 1-year deals now. But the thing is that you're bringing in a guy. He's on a 1-year deal. And, again, like you said, we may have to give up another important piece. And then also, too, look at the defensive line and how it's constructed right now. It seems like we have a perfect balance. Olivier Vernon is not that – he gets after the quarterback, but he's not like a Myles Garrett freak athlete. He's just technique. So you got a freak athlete and a freak athlete that's learning technique on one side, another crafty veteran that's on the other side, and then Ogunjobi as well. Like, it seems like this defensive line is actually balanced out perfectly, where it's not too many of one thing and not too many of another thing, but it's actually a perfect balance. And now defenses are thinking like, man, who are we going to take out? And if they try to take out one person, then the other two are going to eat. So it's like everything is actually balanced out on that defensive line. And I'm not trying to make any moves right there whatsoever. So we have one more hot topic to get to, but let's take a quick break. When we get back, we will talk about a comment that Baker said and if you agree with him or not. So this is Brownstown USA. We will be right back.
Hey, I'm Stephon Gilmore for the New England Patriots. You listen to the 3-Point Conversion. 3-Point Conversion. 3-Point Conversion. 3-Point Conversion.
Brownstown USA, powered by the 3-Point Conversion. As always, we are back here in the building discussing these Browns. Oh my goodness, we are so excited about this season, man. It can't get here fast enough. I think I seen something where it said 24 days we are down to now. For the season kickoff. So I am hype. I am ready, Eric. And let's talk about this, man. Baker came out and said that he feels like there's a target on Cleveland's back. Do you agree with this statement?
You know, I think that there are select teams that you can say do have a target on their backs. Obviously the Patriots, because why wouldn't they? The Chiefs, the Eagles, the Rams, but I think the fifth team with the target on its back might be the Browns, only for the fact that they are the most hyped team in the NFL right now. Think about it, and think about a few years ago. The Philadelphia Eagles were the biggest trash-talking team in the NFL. They had a massive target on their back after they acquired Naomi Asamoah, Jason Babin, Vince Young, all them. They were the team that was dubbed the Dream Team. Every team wanted to beat them. Every team did beat them, basically. But that's the fact of the matter. When you have that target on your back, which they did, it proves what kind of team you really are. The same thing can be said about the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers over the past 5 years. They had targets on their back, even if they weren't winning the championship, like we saw Golden State this year, like we saw the Cavaliers the last few years. They still had a massive target on their back saying, shoot here. To me, I think Baker's right in that sense because of the hype. The talent's there. The hype is there. The one thing that's missing is the actual results, which those have yet to come. So every team right now is targeting the Browns just to make sure that they don't become the footnote in what could potentially be their biggest year since coming back.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. And also, too, to add, the reason why there's a target on the Browns' back is because all of a sudden Dorsey built a team with players that are extremely likable, extremely approachable. Fans love them. They're the most popular faces in the NFL between Baker Mayfield and Odell. So they automatically overnight became America's team, like how, Zagurin would say. And so whenever teams are hearing that, they're going to naturally be jealous and say, well, you know what? We'll show you guys who America's team is. Plus, a lot of people always want to come for the Browns because it's easy. Look at the history. Look at the losing. It's easy to be a running joke, right? Even to the point where it's like if somebody jokes with me about the Browns not winning anything, it's kind of dead now. It's like overplayed. It's like I done heard everything you could say. So it really doesn't even affect me anymore. So with that being said, and then with all the talent that they added, yes, there is a little bit of a natural target, especially because of Baker's moxie, the chip that he has on his shoulder, and a lot of other players on this team that has chips on their shoulders too. It's that confidence. And it's funny to me because it's like a lot of people are scared of the Browns being confident because they haven't won anything. But I'm like, well, they're not going to win anything if they're not confident. You can't go in thinking you're going to win a game. You go in knowing you're going to win a game, and that's how you win games. You go in believing in yourself, go in believing in your teammates, and that's how you win games. So don't sit up here and get scared now that we got players here that are going to speak their mind and that maybe press that line a little bit where you're like, ooh, should he have said that? Well, I mean, he's not wrong. You know what I mean? It's like you can't have it both ways, honestly. The Patriots have been cocky and, in previous years. Like you said, the Eagles were extremely cocky that year. We've even seen other teams out there that have been cocky for no reason, and we're just sitting there looking at them laughing. I mean, how many years have we seen the Steelers be cocky to the point where we wanted to throw up? You know what I mean? So it's like they could be cocky because they have won a Super Bowl, multiple Super Bowls, and they have always won the AFC North, previously. So it's like, yeah, you hate it when it's not your team. Now it is your team. Get on board, love it, and let's go. Let's go Browns. That's how we do it.
Absolutely, and I'll add one more point to that. It also helps with the national attention, and you know exactly what I mean by that. Like, every day, it's gotten to the point that a certain host of a TV show does nothing but crap on the Browns, at least daily at this point. Even though he gave Baker credit the other day, I'm sorry, once in a blue moon is still not enough credit to give the guy, especially when you say that Sam Darnold has a better chance to break out than him. But that's beside the point. How many other times have we seen a Stephen A. Smith or a Will Kane or Tiki Barber? Even up here in New York, we still have people like Mike Francesa. Who else is there? Chris Carlin and Bart Scott talking about us up here. And you know what? Most of the time, it's actually good. But when it's bad, it's really bad. And it's become the rallying cry to the haters.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, if you ain't wearing orange and brown, you don't matter. Cleveland against the world. That's what it's literally become. And if that's what gives – and that's what I don't understand. It's like the more and more they pour onto Baker, do they not realize that that's what gives Baker motivation? It's like he's like the Hulk. So the more and more you speak negatively, the stronger he's going to get and the better he's going to play. So I just encourage you guys, to that host, keep making the Browns a segment out of your day, even though there's so much other news that you could talk about. But, if you want to make us a segment, that's fine by me. Keep on going. Keep it going. I'm not wasting my time by arguing with him or anything, especially because he probably will never ever see my tweet anyway. So I don't give him the energy. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, keep on going. Keep on going because Baker then wrote his name down. He's in that little book of people that he's going to prove wrong. And like I said, again, it just makes him stronger. So, Eric, as we wrap up the show, we definitely want to touch a little bit on the preview of the Colts game that happens on Saturday. So, really quickly, what are you looking forward to in this game?
What I'm looking forward to right now, I want to see how this team can run and as a whole. Last week we saw Baker Mayfield come out for one set, which was a given at that point. But I want to see what happens when he gets a little more time to play with these young kids, because for anyone saying that, well, Baker got lucky because he had Landry or Higgins, no. It's because the guy actually knows how to play the game of football. He knows how to be a good quarterback. He's not just another arm. So offensively, I want to see what they can do. I also want to see more of these young wide receivers. Defensively, I just want to see if we can improve upon that shaky defensive backcourt early on, because if you remember, they got settled in the game, but at that point, and at the juncture that they got settled in on, by that point, in a realistic game, it could be too late.
Yeah, I agree with you and don't agree with you. I think that the way that we are built, that our offense can score so quickly that I don't really feel like we're ever out of the game. We just need the defense to make sure that they hold their own. And I really feel that they will. Again, Randall back there. Once we get Ward back there, actually playing and stuff like that, I think that, everything will start to settle down and we'll see what this defense is about. For me, offensively, I'm looking forward to seeing Kareem Hunt play. I really want to see him play. I want to see what he's still capable of. I mean, I know it's there, but I just want to see it on the field, and I want people to be even more afraid. Like, dang, man, they're about to have this dude come back week 8. This is crazy. So I really want to see what Kareem Hunt does, and a mixture in the backfield of how they rotate Kareem and Nick in there. That'll be fun to see. I heard rumors that possibly that the first team would play a quarter maybe. But it really just depends on how everything flows. They may pull them out early if they see what they need to see, or, if possibly there's an injury scare, they may pull them out sooner. But we may see them for a quarter. Defensively, I am really just trying to see the bigger jump, to see how these rookie linebackers do again. And then, like you said, the backfield, I definitely want to see what these corners and what these safeties are going to do. And again, just overall understand the 4-2-5 defense, because like I said, for anybody that's not really familiar with it, it can be a little confusing. So I'm just trying to look and see, as a person, okay, what is this 4-2-5 going to look like? Can we stop the run? Different things like that. Are we tackling? Are we actually wrapping up and tackling? Because, a big problem last year was missed tackles. So are we actually wrapping up and tackling cats? So that's one thing too. And then also, let's not forget about the special teams. Definitely want to see if we can get any more kick returns, punt returns. We've seen Sheehy taking first-team snaps this week when it came to returns. So hopefully looking to see if he can break out something else big. And then, of course, looking at the kicker competition and seeing what they do.
Absolutely. And also given the fact that a lot of people don't realize that this kicking contest is still pretty close right now, because I've seen a lot of people bringing up about how Seibert's going to run away with it. It's a lot closer than you think, folks. Just because Seibert was drafted in the 5th round means nothing. Keep in mind how many undrafted players we had last year, on the roster last year. Simeon Thomas isn't with the team anymore. I believe there's one other guy that got cut later in the round as well. Hell, Zane Gonzalez isn't with the team anymore. He got replaced by someone that was undrafted. Look, the fact of the matter is the kickers are going to be the big thing. Punters I don't worry about, because it's going to take a miracle for Britton Colquitt to get beaten by the Scottish Hammer there. I like the Scottish Hammer, but he's going to be on the practice team, if anything, next year.
Well, I don't know if he'll make it to the practice team. The guy is that good. I mean, honestly, in order to get to the practice squad, he'd have to clear through the waivers, and I just don't see that happening. So, like I said again, this year is probably going to be one of the more interesting years to see who's going to get cut, because it really is going to be a tough decision, man. So I can't wait to get to that point in the next couple of weeks, man, where we're able to sit here and discuss on who we think, will get cut, who's on the bubble, and different things like that, which we'll start to bring to you next week, because we're going to start to see things start to clear up a little bit in certain areas. So we'll know for sure who won't make the team, or we'll be able to have a good guess. So one thing we do know, though, is that after the game, we will have a post-game show for you guys. And me and Eric aren't in danger of getting cut, so we'll be here on the show to be able to bring that to you and let you know how everything went, man. And, of course, hopefully when we come back on the air with you guys, it's another Browns victory. But, again, thank you very much for listening to Brownstown USA. Again, make sure you follow us on all social media at Brownstown USA, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook fan page, all of that. We are there. And then also make sure you subscribe to the show on all your favorite podcasting platforms so that you never miss an episode. And remember to drop us a rating, drop us a review. Let us know how we're doing. We're always trying to get better. So until we see you guys after the Browns beat up on them Colts, you guys stay safe out there and go Browns.
Go Brown.
Never die.